All right, we are live. I apologize. We had a little delay there. I guess we've been live for about 5 seconds. I didn't even know it. Um, I have some excuses. Having a great day, but we'll talk about that later. But my great day just got better because now we're going to talk racing. I am joined by my friend, my co host, the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Simmons. Oh, pointing the wrong way. Aaron Simmons over here. And disguised as a brick wall or wooden wall is Zachary Brandvold, who will also be with us shortly. Aaron, how are you tonight? How has your day gone?
Gone really well. Had an off day today, so I'm really happy for that. It's been a long week of work, but now I've gotten a little bit of housework done. I didn't have to do this week's agenda, which was very nice. Kind of freed up my day a little bit, so I was busy trying to clean up the house a little bit, make it look somewhat presentable, and sitting here with you guys with three of my best buds here, ready to talk some racing. Can't be any
All
better.
right. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Zach, how are you this evening?
Oh, doing well. Today was very stressful, and unfortunately, didn't have the best of days because of other people's dramas. But I'm here now, and I'm excited to talk about some racing with you guys, and yeah, excited to see you guys.
All right, all right. And I apologize because I have had such a good day. My day has been so good, I have probably robbed 100 other people of their good days just because I have sucked up all of the good that there is in today. Doesn't happen very often, but it was a good day for Tom. I won't go into the details out of respect to the person whose ass absolutely got kicked in a courtroom today. But we'll just leave it at the fact that I had a pretty damn good day and I am proud of it. So,
There you go.
with that, I think we are going to jump into race reviews here. And if I seem a little bit overexcited, it's because I may have gone out and had just one, but a drink to celebrate. But the one that I had was pretty big and pretty powerful. But
Have
more
to.
on that later. Zach, tell us about the truck race.
Absolutely. Honestly, I thought this was probably one of the most entertaining races of the year. I just, for some reason, it was just good to watch. Lots of different passing and different incidences. But overall, I thought it was a really, really good race. Um, some of the storylines here, Ryan Preece and Zane Smith, pretty much, they finished one or two the entire race. Um, with the exception of a couple lead battles, Ryan Preece pretty much went out there and dominated. Zane Smith, I know, led a little bit of the laps too, but it was just them up front pretty much the entire race. And then you have Ty Majeski's 4 wide move down low. It's already 3 wide. You got Matt DiBenedetto, you have Corey Heim, and then you have Grant Enfinger 3 wide going into 3. And there is just enough room for a 4th car if they hold the bottom. And Ty gets a run, and he ends up making it 4 wide in the entry of 3. Matt tries to come down, and then obviously he does not have a lane anymore. He moves up into the 51 of Corey Heim, and then moves into Grant Enfinger. Hard hits for both Grant Enfinger and Corey Heim. Matt backs it into the wall, and all 3 of those days are ruined. Was promising for all 3 of them. So they were all battling for the 6th position, and Ty Majeski ends up finishing in the 4th position. So ended up well for one driver, not so well for the other 3, unfortunately. With a bunch with the 3 drivers involved, not really knowing why Ty Majeski made it 4 wide, kind of dumbfounded in that instance. So Carson Hocevar is another storyline. He continues to shine with a broken leg, battles for second place in the closing stages, pretty much up front all day. But he battled for second place in the closing stages, ended up finishing 3rd, but awesome run for him. Like amazing to see him do this kind of have these kinds of runs with his broken leg, still able to qualify well, still able to run well in the races, and keeping his championship hopes alive. Still searching for that first win though, and I'm telling you, I think it's going to come soon. But how ironic would it be if once he breaks his leg, he finally gets his first win versus his entire career previous not being able to. So I feel like that is something to watch there. Other notable events in the 22, that truck with AM Racing that Austin Wayne Self normally runs. It's typically no offense, a mid-pack truck. Max Gutierrez, 19-year-old Max Gutierrez, finishes 8th place in his second career start. He started all the way back in the 36th position, ran all the way up there and finished in the 8th position. He was actually up there for most of stage 3 as well, in the top 15-10. Comes home P8. Awesome run for him. Like I said, second career start. He's 19 years old. He has some ARCA Mexico starts under his belt, but only a second career truck start. So good to see him. I think that's one of the guys to watch. I mean, and let's be real, the 22 team is not necessarily a top 10 competing team any day of the week. So always good to see unknown guys succeed like that. So yeah, that is the storylines for the truck race.
Okay, so I got 3 comments here. Okay, one, I didn't know ARCA had a Mexico series, so that is pretty cool to learn. So I learned something. 2 is Ty Majeski, 4 wide? Seriously? Seriously? Other than maybe Talladega and Michigan, where is it even possible to go 4 wide? And in what is a great injustice in the racing world, the guy who put it 4 wide is the only one that comes out unscathed. The other 3 got wrecked. So, Ty Majeski, what were you thinking? And third point is, I'm going to start a petition for Carson Hocevar to keep the cast on. He's running so good. I'm like, you know what? Keep it on. Whatever brings you luck, whatever makes you fast, go with it. So leave the cast on. It's working for you, bud.
Aaron, before you start, hold on. And can we just make mention of where his other Nice counterparts are? I mean, they're not even finishing in the top 10 on a daily basis or weekly basis, much less a monthly basis. And here Carson Hocevar is outdoing them with a broken leg. But anyway, I just wanted to make that comment. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, you know, in show business, the most famous phrase is "go out and break a leg," and that of course is supposed to symbolize, you know, like, hey, go out and have fun, good luck, and just try not to think about anything other than just doing your best. It seems like Carson Hocevar is taking that to a whole nother level and literally going out and breaking his leg and somehow having a career-defining season so far. And so, yeah, I'm with Tom. Just keep the damn cast on. It seems like it's just working out for you, bud. So yeah, absolutely, man. Just keep the cast on and keep doing what you're doing, man. You'll get one eventually.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And also going back to Ty's 4 wide move, I think Matt's comments after the race were probably the most riveting and probably the most threatening that we've seen in a little bit. He's saying that he's probably just going to start wrecking these guys now that don't have any respect. And I was like, well, you know, if they're going to make it 4 wide, some of these people need to learn the hard way, I guess. So we'll see what happens. We'll have to come in the next week. We'll have to come in the next couple of weeks and see what happens with that. But yeah, interesting comments to hear.
Well, I think one of the things that made it especially painful for Matt DiBenedetto is he drives for the team was Rackley War Racing, and this was a race sponsored by Rackley Roofing. So here he is driving his heart out trying to get a great finish in a race sponsored by his sponsor, and he gets taken out by a bonehead move. So I'm sure that had to add to the frustration level.
Yeah, and he said he brought out his best car or best truck the team did for this event, because they knew that it was sponsored by them. It was a home race. Their base is in Nashville. So yeah, it was heartbreaking all around.
Yeah. Okay, next up, we got the Xfinity Race, and that is the responsibility of yours truly. And let me tell you about the Xfinity Race. If you want to get a feeling or a definition of what true dominance is, you could watch that Xfinity Race, and this was true dominance by Justin Allgaier. I think he qualified fourth. It didn't take him long to make his way to the front. He won stage one. He won stage two. He won the race. It was a sweep. And if you think this is just a Justin Allgaier day, it is not just a Justin Allgaier day. Let's expand it and say this has basically been April, May, June. This has basically been a Junior Motorsports 3-month run of dominance. This is for Junior Motorsports 12 straight stage wins on ovals. The last time somebody not driving a Junior Motorsports car won a stage at an oval. Now, we had Portland where it was a road course and got some other guys in there, but you have to go all the way back to April 8th at Martinsville. That's the last time somebody not driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr. won a stage on an oval. So complete and total dominance. And when I say dominance, he won stage one by 7 seconds, okay? I don't know that he was any less dominant in stage two. I think he just decided, you know what, I'll get out front and get a comfortable lead and keep it. I think he won stage two by 2.5 seconds and then won the race. It was just, there was Justin Allgaier, and there's everybody else. And that's the way it has been at the ovals for Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. Not a lot of other notable events. Trevor Bain, and I love the phrase they use because it's very, very applicable. They said he is driving for his career. He's been away from the sport. He was very popular. He's trying to get back in. He's running a limited schedule for Joe Gibbs Racing this year. He came home in P2, and I cannot even express how hard it must be to be away from the sport for so long, come back on just a part-time schedule where you're not racing week in and week out and perform at that level. Riley Herbst with a very surprising and solid P3 finish. Third story, the Nashville Heat. It was at one point, they had the little thermometer in the cars, and it was 135 degrees in the cockpit in some of those cars. Later on in the race, it cooled down to a balmy 128 degrees. They were interviewing the guys and asking them about it. I know if I am in that car, I'm like, shut up. I don't want to talk about it. Don't remind me how hot it is. But it was upper 90s here a few weeks ago and high humidity. And I couldn't hardly stand to be outside pushing a lawnmower for more than 10 minutes. I cannot imagine driving 200 plus miles in something that was literally 30 degrees hotter than that. So Nashville Heat was the next story. Whew. I'm sweating just talking about it. But any storylines you missed or any comments that you guys have to add to the Nashville Xfinity Race?
Nothing I really want to really add to the story, but I was going to reiterate 135 degrees inside was basically just a metal coffin on tires. That's what these cars are.
Yeah. Now they have cool suits, and I don't know how much cooler it is when you're wearing that suit. But let's say for the sake of argument, you get 30 degrees of coolness out of that suit. That's still 105 degrees. Insanely hot.
Yeah. And you probably get maybe 30, maybe. Because you got to think all that. So all the tubes are not that thick, and they're all over the body, right? And they're running through at a slow rate. So by the time you get the cold thing, it's already gone by the heat of the car. So yeah. Crazy. No, all I heard was that Allgaier dominated. I didn't get a chance to watch, but I mean, I heard that you mentioned, Tom, he was leading by 7 seconds in the first stage and then 5 in the second stage when he won. I was like, man, it's over for sure. So,
yeah.
All right, next up, you are up here, Aaron. Cup race, the big show. Take us through the big show.
Yeah, the big and long show. You can take that however you want. But anyway, all right, Nashville for stage one. Two stories are prominent before the green flag even drops. Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace were to the back. Kyle Busch was due to, I believe, an inspection issue, was sent all the way back to dead last. And then Wallace just had a back qualifying lap. They would be, I guess, the two dominant cars trying towards the back. But as soon as the green flag drops, it is all Denny Hamlin stage one early. He has led basically all of the 41 laps so far up until a lightning delay in the area, whether it will become a massive factor in this race. But then for all of that stage, it was going to be basically Hamlin and his newly signed teammate Martin Truex Jr. Those two would be kind of up towards the front, battling all night. But on lap 66, Truex would take the lead and take the stage win. Byron and Bowman for Hendrick Motorsports would go down on the same lap. So already very costly stage one for Mr. Hendrick. Stage two is still the Joe Gibbs domination show. Truex is dominating. We have the first rain delay at lap 119. Once the race once it gets going here in about like an hour or so, it'll be between basically all the Joe Gibbs drivers except for Kyle Busch, who's still making his way towards the front. But then we get another lightning and a rain delay for another 2+ hours. And what sucks is I thought the race was called for tomorrow afternoon, so I went ahead and shut it off at this point. But no, they decided just to turn it back on at like freaking 10:30 at night. So great job, NASCAR. Thanks. But then anyway, it'll be Hamlin and Truex again at the point, giving each other absolute hell for the lead. But then Truex will come up and win stage two, swept the stages for now. But will he hang on? We shall see. Stage three, Hamlin will once again take the lead. He is going to dominate a round. But then kind of towards the end of the day, you see the man in number 9 car, Chase Elliott. He's starting to work his way up towards the front. He's getting ever so closer to that lead. But then right as Kyle Busch would take the lead and insert himself towards the front, Chase Elliott is there to snatch the lead away. But then thanks to some pit strategy from both Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, I don't know what the hell you were doing, not going in for tires, but whatever. Chase Elliott will win in Nashville. So a horrible stage one for Mr. Hendrick ends up being pretty good, as Chase Elliott will now assert himself into the multiple win club. Which I'm surprised that it took this long to have multiple drivers in with multiple race wins. That was pretty much it. Just all Joe Gibbs and Hendrick.
Yeah, the two things that I thought just really shook things up were the rain delays. One, because it seemed like the guys that were fast in the daylight were I don't want to say out to lunch, but they certainly were not as fast when we had the rain delays and we came back at night. And the second thing is that late caution in the middle of a green flag pit cycle. The person that comes to mind most was Christopher Bell. Had a fast car, and he wound up being trapped a lap down. Got the lucky dog, but had to restart at the end of the field and went from running near top 5 to I think basically restarting 19th at the tail of the field. That caution in the middle of green flag pit stops really shook things up.
It really did. It absolutely did. But Zach, you want to add anything to the Cup race?
No, I missed the finish because I did not think that they were going to get this thing restarted, and they ended up getting it restarted, and I was already in bed. So, I was actually pretty surprised by the time I went to bed. I mean, 10 o'clock on the East Coast, you're thinking they're going to restart it on Monday. But they didn't. So I didn't get to watch the finish. I thought the Toyotas were insanely strong on the at the opening part of the race, and obviously that wasn't reflected in the results. So I don't know exactly. I heard bad strategy, So, I thought it was a good race up until that point. I know a lot of issues on pit lane again, and as well as some issues with drivers not being able to complaining that they weren't able to pass drivers. So, I think the racing that I saw, at least in the first stage before in the second stage, a little bit in the second stage before it went red flag again, I thought it was pretty good, but got a feel for NBC not being able to fully air their first show and having all those delays.
Yeah, well, granted, it wasn't their fault.
It wasn't. I thought they did it, and I also thought they did a lot better job explaining the diagram of the car, their broadcast angles and views and stuff. I thought it was a lot better than Fox. I think it was night and day, honestly.
Yes.
Very refreshing.
I absolutely agree with that. Honestly, NBC should just take over the entirety of the NASCAR schedule, just from start to finish. Yeah. NBC take over.
Yeah. When NBC was signing off, they were saying that the earliest they thought they could get the race running again, and I assume this is coming from NASCAR itself, was 10:30. So I kind of was like, all right, I'll check back in about 10:30. And I think they got started racing like 9:45, 9:55. So they got it running earlier than I thought. So I missed a segment there. I'm tuning back in at 10:30 and they're already green flag. So I'm not sure what all I missed there, but thank God for lights, I guess. I'm glad they have that thing lighted so they're able to get it underway.
I am too.
So
honestly, I forgot Nashville even had lights. It's been so long since we raced there.
Yeah. And if you will recall, last year, one of our first broadcasts was the NASCAR, the Nashville Race, and we were very critical of a lot of things related to NASCAR, feeling like their first trip to Nashville, they got it wrong. Everything from the crew chiefs underestimating what they needed as far as braking power, and we had brake rotor issues all day, to NASCAR, maybe not NASCAR, but the facility itself and the parking and being able to get people in and out in a timely manner. But got to give credit to NASCAR and the teams. I think they got it right this year. I think they learned from their mistakes. I think they put on a great show. So they may not have necessarily got everything right the first show or the first year, but it really felt like they came back with a great performance this year, both on the track, from the teams, from NASCAR, from the crowds, everything. I thought they really did a great job this year.
I agree. And speaking of that was our 1-year anniversary race, because we started this show after Nashville. So happy anniversary, guys.
We made it through one full NASCAR season
without killing each other. Hell yeah.
Okay. All right, next up, the SRX race. So this is Tony Stewart's Superstar Racing Experience, and I will say this probably every week. I'll try to be brief. This is, think of the old IROC cars where everybody is in an identically prepared car. The format is 2 heat races. They invert the finishing order from the first heat race to the second. The best average finish, or I shouldn't say the best, but the average finish of those 2 heat races determines where you start. They're running at a variety of different tracks all across America. This week was South Boston, which is the hometown track of, among other notable people, the Burtons, Ward Burton and Jeff Burton. I was so hoping they were going to have Ward Burton driving this week, but it didn't happen. But I'm going to cover the NASCAR or the SRX race. It was a big night for the NASCAR guys. Last week, we had the IndyCar guys really dominating at Pensacola. They were the ones making the headlines and running up front. The NASCAR guys came back in full strength this week. Greg Biffle wins Heat 1. Greg Biffle, yeah, he's hasn't done much in what is probably a subpar ride in limited schedules this year, but looked very impressive winning Heat 1, and good to see the Biff back out there. Now, after Heat 1, and we are off all of our copyright issues where we got a little bit of a slap on the wrist from YouTube. So I'm going to try to show a clip here, okay? And please watch this to the end. after Heat 1, Tony Stewart, to say he was not happy is an understatement. But I want to see if I can pull up the clip here and show this video. So bear with me. We have not had to do this in a long time, so I'm a little bit rusty on how to do this. My producer skills are not exactly up to speed. Let's see if I can do this.
What happened moments ago, right after they got
Look
out of
at
the car,
Tony Stewart. This
Grab.
is anger. He's got him by the collar. That is Ernie Francis Jr., the Trans Am Series guy, and Tony Stewart is clearly just a little bit upset with how he was raced in Heat 1.
Champ, Tony Stewart. It's gotten a little rough out there, but you know this is the game, and you were like Uncle Tony to Ernie just now.
Well, they've pissed off Uncle Tony right now, so they're
Are you
about
guys
ready
able
to
to
get
hear
a
the
dose
audio
of it
on
that
this?
they don't want. So trust me, I know every dirty trick and got it in my bag. I mean, when you're following somebody and a guy's on the outside, and as soon as he gets clear, he just turns down across. That's the dumbest shit you can do. I swear to God. It's
now,
like,
I hope you guys have seen the movie Groundhog Day, because that's important.
Anybody that touches me, I'm touching back ×5. So just done jacking with some of these clowns.
Come on, make it fun. Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry.
Don't drive angry. Tony Stewart just a little bit angry at the end of Heat 1. So on to Heat 2, where Helio Castroneves grabs the win by dumping, and I mean absolutely dumping, Paul Tracy. Now, if you followed the SRX series last year, Paul Tracy was the villain. And when I say the villain, I mean the way Paul Tracy ran last year, the number of cars he hit, how often he hit him, how hard he hit him. He made Kyle Busch look like a saint. So Paul Tracy has the lead going into in Heat 2, and Helio Castroneves, let's just show the clip here if I can. I love the commentator's comment that when he dumps him and the commentator listened to it carefully, he says, that was the most predictable move ever, or something to that effect. So let me see if I can find the right clip here. Bear with me just a second.
Okay. I guess while he's pulling that up, we want to say give a big shout out to Joshua Rudder for joining us. Thank you, Josh, for joining us. Mike Cora, as always. Adam Lauer, as always. Mark, also known as Suspect Puggy. Thank you, man, for showing up. Becca, I see you there, girl. Appreciate you showing up. Ryan, thank you so much for showing back up, brother. Nice to have you here.
Fantastic racing, honestly. Clean enough to where we're my goodness.
Castroneves and Tracy.
That could have been the most predictable thing I've ever seen.
Sorry to cut you off, Aaron. When I hit the button, I didn't know it was going to immediately start playing, so I apologize. Let's hear that again.
Could have been the most predictable thing I've ever seen.
That's
the most predictable thing I've ever seen. And Paul Tracy making contact. I hate that for Paul, though. He was having such a great race.
Yeah, definitely. So the yellow flag is out. And it was fun for the fans, not so fun for Paul Tracy.
Oh, boy, that was a late move, and that was pretty targeted.
So let's hear what Mr. Castroneves has to say about this.
I would bet Paul Tracy is not a Helio fan right now.
Wow. Yeah, it was, the way I see it was an racing incident. Let's put it this way.
So.
Notice the smirk there. The way I see it, it was a racing incident. It almost looks like he is pressing his lips together to keep from laughing out loud. To me, very noticeable smirk there. So,
well, anyway. No, there's no smirk there. What are you talking about? No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, him smirking? No.
So, anyway, those are Heat 1 and Heat 2. But at the end, apparently, apparently driving angry works, okay? Because Tony Stewart actually wins the race. It was a big night for the NASCAR guys. Tony Stewart wins, Greg Biffle second, Bobby Labonte third, Ryan Newman fourth. So big night. NASCAR guys sweep the top 4 spots in the SRX series. And even though it worked for Tony Stewart, my advice to our viewers, don't drive angry. So that is all I got on the SRX series.
Leave driving anger to the pros.
Yeah.
I just want to say I feel like that was absolutely uncalled for by Tony Stewart. I mean, I watched that and I was shocked. I don't think in any way you should grab someone's collar like that and talk down to them like that. I would personally, if it were me, I would not take that shit. But also very embarrassing for Tony Stewart. Honestly, his comments about, and this was after the race, tearing up the equipment. I don't believe some of these moves really tore up the equipment that bad to the point where, he's going to be having to spend hours himself doing all this. It's what the fans want, first of all, and it's short track racing. So honestly, I feel like the whole night, other than the win, very embarrassing for Tony Stewart. And honestly, just that grabbing him by the collar and yelling him like that, absolutely uncalled for and just wrong, in my opinion. But yeah.
Well, I will go with what I think Adam Petty said back when we had a Kyle Busch outburst. I will apologize for the language and behavior, but not the passion. And one of the things I took away from this is look at Tony Stewart and look at who he is and what he's accomplished. 3-time NASCAR champion, Cup Series owner, owns a elite level drag racing team. And so you would think just a little race like this is meaningless to him, but look at the passion that he had for it. I will agree that it was not a good look. And I think I can understand apologizing for the behavior, but for all he has accomplished, to see how passionate he was about this little short track race in an SRX series that probably doesn't really mean a whole lot in terms of his racing resume, his legacy, his pocketbook. It probably doesn't mean that much in any of those regards, but just to see how passionate he was about it. I will say I loved seeing that.
Yeah. I mean, first thing to know about Tony is he lives, eats, and breathes racing. Every business decision he's ever done is for the benefit of racing. It doesn't matter if he's out there racing or he's not there racing. He wants to put on a damn good show, and that's what the SRS series does the best. It puts on a good show anywhere it goes. And and honestly, that's just classic Tony. It doesn't matter if you bump into him once; he's gonna be pissed, and he will throw a boulder right back at you. So to me, that's just classic Tony. And I gotta admit it. I was giggling up like a schoolgirl whenever he was doing that interview because I thought, oh man, that's the Tony I remember growing up seeing. It's just him getting absolutely mad and taking it out on a reporter and just getting right back to that driver. So to me, I was getting like a schoolgirl. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I think the passion is there for sure, and it's good to see. I just there's different ways that you can handle yourself and still show the passion for running in the league. Just I don't know, but I agree. I do agree with you. I think that if anything, that did show how much passion and how much he truly wants this to succeed for sure.
Yeah. So, Mark Schisler Puggy, as we know him, best wrecker is Kevin LePage at Tega. I don't know if I would categorize that the best, but that was certainly legendary. I'll say that. When your name becomes a verb, you know you have done something big. So, and that day, LePage became a verb. When he LePaged the field, that means he wrecked the whole field. And at some point, we're going to have to show that clip because I know Becca here is trying to learn more about NASCAR, so we're going to have to educate her on what it means when someone says they got LePaged or they LePaged the field. So we may have to we may have to share that for her, but yeah, I don't know if that's the best, but that's definitely the most legendary. So
yeah, rule 1, don't do that.
Yeah.
just don't do that. Get out of the way.
Okay. All right, let's move on to racing news because we have been through 4 race reviews. So, Zach, can you take us through the news?
Absolutely. So, Castroneves leverages his SRX victory into a potential Daytona 500 start. The SRX CEO, Don Hawk, said that he made calls to teams and received calls from teams about getting Helio Castroneves in a Daytona 500 ride for next year. Hawk committed to landing Castroneves a ride if he won a Srx race this season, and he did in his first attempt at 5 flags. First attempt of season 2 for him. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this, Tom?
You know what? If Don Hawk is able to land a ride for Helio at Daytona 500, then Helio needs to pay it forward by landing a ride for Bubba Pollard in like an Xfinity Series race or something. Because I'm sorry, but Bubba had the fastest car that night. He had some misfortune and I think had a flat tire, had to go to the back and come through the field again. But Bubba Pollard, who is the local hero that they always put in these SRX races, he had the fastest car. Helio got that win because Bubba had some misfortune. So I'm saying that's great. I'd love to see Helio running at the Daytona 500, but he needs to pay it forward and get Bubba a ride in like an Xfinity race or something like that.
Well, yeah, that's true. What about you, Aaron?
I agree for Bubba Pollard. I think he's well deserving for a truck or an Xfinity ride. But for Helio, I mean, I'm kind of looking through the comments right here because I didn't get a chance to see this news story right now. I've heard the news story, and I think he would be a great addition to the Daytona 500. And hey, if he were to win, just imagine without Dude's already stacked resume. There's something down here for Project 91 that could be a possibility for next season. Because we're looking for some more foreign drivers to come into the sport. So that, as I said, could be a very likely possibility for him next season. But then again, it's still very, very young in this news story, and this is definitely going to be something we need to keep our eye on going forward.
Oh, I was thinking leveraging SHR stuff to land him like almost a ride with a pseudo SHR satellite team, since this is with Tony Stewart's. But the Project 91 is that's got some sizzle to it.
Yeah, especially with Trackhouse absolutely run the way they are right now. That's a very tempting offer.
Yeah. All right, keep us rolling, Zach. Keep us rolling.
Absolutely. So, F1 TV deal is renewed with ESPN, going from $5 million per year to $75 to $90 million. Humongous jump through 2025. With select races are going to be on ESPN Plus. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Tom or Aaron, let's start with you.
Now, I've said on this show multiple times that I have not been a Formula One guy, but ever since I've really kind of like stopped to watch the Monaco events during Memorial Day, I've been pretty much hooked on F1. I just got in the Xbox Game Pass, and F1 2021 has been on there. I've been playing that game nonstop. I think it's great. Although I have not really watched an F1 race since then, it's really starting to get my interest into F1. And so with this ESPN deal, I may have to check out F1. I really got to probably check it out. And I got to say, that's 75 to 90 million a year. Wow. That is an insane deal.
I just want to point out, they don't run commercials during the race. So ESPN is going to have to figure out some way to recoup their money. So I know that that's the reason why they're putting some races on ESPN Plus. But yeah, that has to They have to figure out some way to earn money without putting commercials back on.
I mean, they could do like what did with the Truman Show and just kind of like incorporate the ads into the broadcast.
Yeah,
some way.
See the tracks, they have advertising just like a normal NASCAR track and stuff like that, but that's not local for America. So, what are your thoughts on this, Tom?
Well, as I've said before, I can barely spell F1, so I don't know that much about it. But whoever negotiated this on behalf of the F1 series, can you please renegotiate my contract or my next raise or something? My gosh, that is 15 to 18 times what they were making. That shows that there must be a huge market and huge opportunity for F1. So, if it's that big of a deal, I'm going to have to start checking it out and seeing what this F1 stuff's all about. Maybe next time when we do a show, I'll actually know how to spell it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and actually, it was reportedly leaked that Amazon had a deal for $100 million per year for their TV rights, and they ended up turning that down to stay with ESPN. So they had an even bigger deal on the table. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked about how much it's grown. Whenever they did Drive to Survive, I knew it was going to take off just because all they needed to do was crack the U.S. market. I mean, the U.S. market for F1, it is like, if you look at it even now, it's like maybe 1 million, 1.2 million in viewership. That's not even beating. I mean, some weekends it's not even beating the qualifying for NASCAR. However, the potential, due to all the hype surrounding it and the races that they're going to be adding in Las Vegas, the races that they've already added in Miami and COTA, I think they're really trying to crack the U.S. market. And obviously it's working. If ESPN's willing to pay that much a year, I mean, that's awesome. You guys know this. I'm a big F1 guy, so this makes I'm a little bit worried personally about how ESPN's going to change as far as their commercials and how they're going to make that money back. That's a little bit concerning to see. They're going to run the race regardless of whether or not there are commercials or not. So, we might see something like we see in NASCAR where we're going to miss out on racing, but I hope that that's not the case. And I hope that they continue with the no commercials, because I think that's what really makes it popular among fans as well. So we'll see what happens, but awesome deal for everyone involved. And I think it's only going to grow.
Yeah,
so
this could be great for F1 and could be a really big deal for just opening up F1 to more of the U.S. market.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, get us back to NASCAR. Keep us going.
Yeah, exactly. So our NASCAR silly season has ramped up. We have 3 news stories to tell and share with you. Stenhouse, Jones, and Truex will all remain in their current rides for 2023. So we know that there was some speculation that JTG Daughtery Racing announced or might not make it next year. But however, Ricky Stenhouse signs on a multi-year deal to drive for the organization. So the 47 is going to be staying for a couple more years, it looks like. So awesome to hear for that. Martin Truex Jr., there were rumors that he was going to retire. He lost interest. However, he said he will be back for 2023. The wording on that suggests that he's going to retire after 2023. So we'll have to see and follow that for next season. But he will return for one more year in the number 19. And then our last little bit, it's not really confirmed, but Eric Jones is basically said that he intends on staying in the 43 next year. He said there's a couple things that they need to button up, but he expects to stay with the 43 team in GMS Petty Racing. So good news for all 3 of those drivers. I think those are especially Truex was some of the bigger storylines as to where they're going, who might fill in for them. I think the next big thing is the SHR number 10 ride. What are you guys' thoughts on this, Tom?
I got to believe that JTG Dougherty and Petty GMS have had some good runs this year. And I have to believe that the next gen cars had something to do with that, because it's put it more back into the driver's hands. And I got to believe that is a factor in both of those guys deciding to return and not look around. I mean, the JTG Dougherty guys have especially been impressive. They've got several top 10s and have been really strong in a mile and a half. And Eric Jones, although it hasn't been as impressive as JTG Dougherty, it's still been way better than what we are seeing in the past from them. So it's interesting that these guys have signed back, especially the JTG Dougherty one, which is a multi-year deal. This might be the next Trackhouse Racing that we say, where did this team come from? All of a sudden, they're making progress. And quite honestly, I am going to have a hard time adjusting to anyone else in that Bass Pro Shops besides Martin Truex Jr. That's who I associate with that car. So I'm going to have a hard time whenever he is not in that car, just accepting whoever is going to be in there. I will say I'm hoping for a little silly season excitement. I'm hoping for somebody moving around. I'm hoping for a big move like we had last year with Brad Keselowski. But right now, everybody's just staying put.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, I mean, the silly season has just now started. There's plenty of movement to go around, especially with the guy in the 18 car.
Yeah. I find it interesting that the 19 driver in Truex got signed before 18.
Well, that's because at least Truex had financial backing. Right now, Busch, not so much.
True.
Also, Adam, thank you so much, dude.
Yeah, how about our primary sponsor there, Lauer Brothers Landscaping? Thank you. You're making a great day for me even better with that.
Absolutely.
All
right. So
that is the news for this week.
Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I was just going to say that was the news for this week. I don't really have anything else to say. I'll let us move on.
Okay. All right. So we talked about last week having us present our list of the top 10 drivers of the 2000s. And in the interest of time, we are not going to all present our lists at once. We are going to go 1 week at a time. We are going to let Aaron go first and present his top 10 drivers of the 2000s. So this is from 2000 to current day, top 10 drivers based on their total effort, contribution, whatever, during that 22-year time period. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron. And Aaron, give us your top 10 drivers of the 2000s.
All right. So for this list, there are a few stipulations. Number one, you will not see, I guess, like the honestly, a lot of current drivers on here, just because, it's been a 22-year gap. And let's just say during that 22 years, there's been a lot of Hall of Famers. So that's probably why. And the other one, I'm not concerned about championships all as much in the running order, more or less so just wins primarily. You're going to see here a few instances where one guy has less championships but more wins, so he's going to be ranked higher. So that's kind of how I'm basing this list on, since championships, let's just say, debatable. All right, so, first and foremost, number one on this list,
you starting from number 1 or number 10?
Number one on the list.
Okay.
Take a wild freaking guess who it is.
Mark Martin.
Jimmy Johnson.
Tom wins a cookie. Jimmy Johnson, for obvious reasons. 7-time champion, like an 82 win driver overall, which is insane. So obviously it's going to be Jimmy Johnson. Moving on. And keep in mind, I I've gotten in touch with like a few of the top 10 lists, kind of see where they had them, to see if they kind of agree with what I think, kind of agree where I think they should be placed, and kind of make a few corrections. So number 2 is going to be Kyle Busch. 2 championships in recent years, 60-plus wins. And if you want to just throw in his Xfinity and Truck Series, it is outrageous. And he, add those win totals in with his Cup ones, he could be challenging June Johnson and possibly even Kyle Petty right now for wins. So, gotta go Kyle Busch for obvious reasons. Number 3, I'm going with Kevin Harvick. Just because of his championship and 58 wins, and let's be honest, he could have had more championships, and now for the stupid fucking chase format, he could have had more. But still, granted, remember how Harvick entered the sport? He came in with the soul and the face of NASCAR, basically dying on the first race of the season, or to come in and fill his shoes. And I think he filled those shoes really well. So right now he is number 3 on the list, which is being ironic. Number 4, I got to go with Tony Smoke Stewart. 3 championships, 46 wins, very hot commodity throughout the entire 2000s and possibly even late 2000s, still competitive. He's number 4 on the list. Number 5, man, it hurts. It hurts with Jeff Gordon down here, number 5, being my favorite driver, but I had to do it. If we're like 1990s, he'd be at number 1 already, but no, I had to go with Jeff Gordon. Of course, that lone championship, 44 wins. Could have had more. We could have had more championships. So I'm not bitter. But number 6, I got Matt Kenseth for a championship, 39 wins. Kurt Busch, from 6th on down, it was hard because there are so many greats in this span right now. There are so many greats. Right now, Kurt Busch number 7, Brad K at number 8, championship, 35 wins. And you know what? I decided to go a little off the rails here and just figure out a way to bring these 2 drivers in, because if you were to compile a top 10 list, the 2 drivers that got screwed royally throughout their career, these 2 have got to be number 1 and number 2, hands down. For number 9, I got to go with Carl Edwards. He may not have a championship, but he should have had 3, 2 at the very least. For several final playoff 4 appearances, 28 wins, competitive day in, day out, all except for 1 year. But you know what? I'll set that aside. Carl Edwards, number 9 on the list, one of the greatest drivers of the 2000s. And number 10, even though he wasn't at his prime, I have to include him on here. Mark the Kid Martin. No championships, even though he should have had 2. He should have had 2 in 2002, where he got royally screwed on by penalty, and in 2009, where he gave he tried to give Jimmy Johnson a run for his money, but just couldn't seal the deal. And 17 wins. I mean, let's face it, nobody here hates Mark Martin. Nobody does. He's just a good old boy from Arkansas. Let's just give it to him. And so those are my top 10 for the greatest drivers in the 2000s.
Love it. I think you would. I do agree with DFS vids. I feel like you have to put Kenseth somewhere on that list. Maybe I don't know. I don't know who you would replace though. I feel like it's very hard.
Who Kenseth?
Yeah.
He's number 6.
Oh, okay. I missed that one then. Never mind.
Oh yeah. He's on here.
Okay,
he's
good.
On here.
Good list then. I
Yeah.
like the way you think towards the end, having Carl Edwards and Mark Martin.
I mean, let's be real here. Edwards should have had at least 2-3 championships. He should have.
He definitely would have had one if they didn't call phantom caution in 2016.
Yeah, or if Tony Stewart didn't just go all beast mode and rattle off 5 wins in 10 races
after having none in the regular season.
after admitting his team should not have been in the championship at all. He was out of wins a day.
It was a stupid chase format.
After tying Carl Edwards. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think some of the stuff is interesting here, and I haven't came up with my list yet. I think Kevin Harvick at number 3 is interesting. I think for at least part of that time in the 2000s, he was driving subpar equipment. Because I'm sorry, but there wasn't after the death of Dale Earnhardt, and we had mortals driving for Richard Childress Racing instead of Dale Earnhardt. It kind of got exposed that they were not necessarily putting out the best equipment compared to everybody else. So I think that probably had some bearing on where you ranked Kevin Harvick. One thing that I think is going to be very either popular or unpopular is Dale Jr. had most of his career in the 2000s, and he's not on your list. I think that's very interesting.
Again, like 6 through 10 was tough. It was really, really tough, but I thought a number of wins was definitely a factor. But also, who was truly competitive in the championship landmark? And you can make an argument for Mark Martin possibly not being on that list. But let's face it, he should have been a championship. He should have been a champion in 2002.
Yeah.
2009, he gave Johnson a run for his money. I mean, Junior, while he was competitive for a few years, I mean, again, you can make that argument, but that's why I put Mark Martin on that list.
The fact that he was still competitive in 2009, much less even after that with Michael Waltrip Racing. I mean, he nearly won a race with Michael Waltrip Racing, or maybe he did win a race. Maybe it was Brian Vickers.
It was remember. Vickers, but Martin came close to Pocono, if not for a certain young gun named Joey Logano.
Yeah, like crazy that he was able to compete that well, even late into his career. I mean, late into his 40s. So, yeah. I felt like that. I feel like it could be justified, but yeah, I don't know. Dale Jr. popular favorite. I don't know.
Hall of Famer.
I mean,
Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer, but so is Mark Martin. So
this is true.
That is my list. If you want to make your own top 10 list and send it to us, then go run on ahead. You can put whoever you want on it, but we are for to judge you as you judge us. So,
yeah, I think the biggest slight you've got though is, I mean, I can't believe Danica Patrick wasn't on the list. I mean, clearly
being sexist. You're being sexist.
I thought about it, man. I thought about putting Danica on the list. I thought about putting her at number 1, but then I thought, I don't really know, man.
Well, I'm sure that, you know, it was Danica, Cody Ware, and I'm sure you lost sleep weighing those two. But anyway.
Oh yeah, JD McDuffie somewhere in that list.
Absolutely. Anyway, let's move on to who's hot, who's not, and that was, I gotta say, I liked the list. I really did. I liked the thought process. I liked the names you put on it. I liked everything about it. I can't argue anybody there doesn't belong on the list. I love the fact that and maybe I'm wrong about your thought process, but you put Kevin Harvick pretty high, and I think that he's somewhat overlooked because there was a period in his career where I really feel like he was driving subpar equipment late in his tenure with Richard Childress Racing. So I love that I think that was part of a factor of evaluating the driver, not just the equipment he was in. But anyway, let's move on. Let's get to who's hot, who's not.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Tom, would you like to go first? Or Zach, do you want to go first?
Sure. Why not? My who's hot this week, I'm going to go with the man himself that we were talking about earlier, Carson Hocevar, breaking his leg, still being able to qualify well and compete well in every race so far, pretty much, with the exception of Sonoma, although he did run the first stage and did halfway decent. But, you know, obviously just coming fresh off that break, he's been doing really well. And honestly, I think that, you know, he might have a chance at this year's championship if he continues this form. I mean, consistently running in the top 5 every single week. And especially this is the time of year that it matters. So he's going to be my who's hot this week. And then as far as who's not, although I did not watch the end of the race, I did watch a replay, and boy, Toyota yet again dropped the ball when it mattered most. I say Toyotas in general because it seemed like they all had similar strategies. Drop the ball when it matters most. I don't know why in the heck you would pit for tires with a short restart coming, especially when you're inside the top 5. But obviously didn't work out for any of the Toyotas. But when you look at it in the beginning of the race, especially stage 1, they were dominant. You had all of the Toyota cars inside the top 10 at one point. And then you had the first 4 positions were occupied by Toyotas at one point. And then their finishing positions are so low compared to what they were running earlier in the race. Just kind of awful. Partially due to strategy, partially due to conditions, but just did not finish strong. And that's back-to-back weeks where we have seen a drop-off in the Toyotas in general. So hopefully they can get their act together, get things sorted, because the playoffs are right around the corner, and they are not going to be shy from kicking in the butt.
Yep.
All right, Aaron, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I guess for my who's hot this week, I gotta go with I gotta go with Martin Truex Jr. Just for him being re-signed and having probably one of the best, from having one of his best seasons or best races of the season so far at Nashville. I mean, it looked like he was basically the only guy who really could compete with Denny Hamlin all day. Also, the entire Joe Gibbs camp had cars that could win at Nashville, but for some reason they just straight up didn't. But I won't dock them too much for that, just because they are kind of on the downswing, and they need some sort of spark. So I'll give Joe Gibbs a spark here. I'll give them the who's hot this week. Who's not? I gotta go with RFK, man. I mean, I thought for sure that they might get something going at Nashville just to try and get a little bit of spark after that off week. Had such momentum coming out of Sonoma, at least with Christopher Bell Chris Buescher. Had such momentum going in Nashville, and then not really much of anything all day. So I gotta go, and so that's my who's hot, who's not this week.
Okay. All right, I am going with who's hot, and I touched on this earlier. Junior Motorsports, 12 stage wins in a row on ovals, and a sweep by Justin Allgaier at Nashville of not just the stages, but the race win too. And again, I said this earlier, last time someone won a stage on an oval other than Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series was April 8th at Martinsville. You think about April 8th, that was before Memorial Day, that was before Easter, that was before really spring had even hit in most of the country, and now we are almost to the 4th of July, and everybody else is still trying to find a stage win. So I am going with Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series as who is hot. As far as who is not, I'm going to piggyback on what Zach said, and I'm going to say short pitting is not. In the Cup Series, with the problems we've had with tire blowouts, I just don't see how anybody thought short pitting was going to be a good idea. I understand it if it's a desperation move. I understand it if you're in, maybe 10th place on back and you're trying to salvage a good day, or you're trying to throw a Hail Mary and hope it gets you a good finish or a win. But for some of the guys up front that had competitive cars to short pit, I just didn't see it. I didn't see how the odds worked out in your favor at all. I mean, if we have had one recurring theme this year, it has been cautions in the Cup Series, and it has been tire problems. So I just was like scratching my head. So I'm going to say who's not is short pitting right now. So that ends our who's hot, who's not. We are up to green flag, red flag, and that is Aaron's segment to take us through.
Alrighty, guys. For those of you who are new here, green flag, red flag is more of an interactive segment for us in our chat. I will say off a question or a statement, and your lovely host here, as well as me, as well as you guys, can put green flag if you agree with it, or red flag if you disagree with it. And so please go ahead and tell us why, because we are very curious and we like to learn things about our audience. So, green flag, red flag, number one of the night, as Tom alluded to already, Junior Motorsports has been dominating the Xfinity Series this year, with 12 consecutive stage wins on ovals and 6 race wins this year. Does a Junior Motorsports driver in the Xfinity Series win a championship? Yes or no? Zach, we'll start with you first.
I'd say yes. I'd say green flag. I see it happening. Just the momentum is everything. So going into the playoffs, they've been dominating. Not just these past 12 stage wins, but also when you think about it over the entire season, they've been a pretty dominant team as a whole. So if you carry that momentum going into the championship, I mean, I feel like they just figured something out that the rest of the field hasn't. Both AJ Allmendinger and Ty Gibbs, it's not that they have necessarily struggled. They're not putting up as good of a results as they have been in the regular season up to this point now. That I just don't see them carrying that momentum into the championship as much as any of the 4 Junior Motorsports drivers. So I would have to say green flag.
Okay, Tom, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say green flag too. I think a couple of things. I feel like Colleague Motorsports is just a little bit off this year, and maybe they shifted some of their emphasis to the Cup program. I mean, even with AJ Allmendinger there, he's still running if they call it a limited Cup schedule, but he's running a lot of races, and I feel like that may have shifted their focus a little bit. I really thought after watching Ty Gibbs last year, he was not just going to be a contender, but going to be dominant in the Xfinity Series. And they seem to be a little bit off. Add to that, you go to Phoenix for the championship races, and Noah Gragson from Junior Motorsports won that in the spring, and they had 3 cars in the top 10. I definitely think green flag. I see one of the Junior Motorsports drivers winning the championship in Phoenix.
Alrighty, and as for me, I mean, I gotta go green flag here. I'm gonna agree with you guys. I mean, I do think just taking a look at the Xfinity Series Championship, even though Allmendinger is technically still leading in terms of points as of right now, and Ty Gibbs is not far behind, they have not really impressed the last few weeks. Even though Allmendinger did get that win in Portland, Ty Gibbs has not really been too much of a factor the last few weeks. And whereas the Junior Motorsports guys has been dominating. I mean, literally, it's Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, and these are the Xfinity point standings right now. Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, and then it's literally just 4 Junior Motorsports cars right behind them. So, with that said, I got to go green flag. It's just the other guys are off their game, and we just got to go with it. All right, and what? So I've got Mark going green, got Mike going red. I see Ty winning. I mean, Ty's a good pick.
Not a terrible pick, no.
A little bit low-hanging fruit pick, but hey, it's a pick. I'm thinking, who might judge? All right. Green flag, red flag, number 2 of the night. Who covers NASCAR better? NBC Sports or Fox? Green flag for NBC, red flag for Fox. Tom, what say you?
I hesitated to put this question out there because we don't have a big sample size from NBC, but from what we do have, I like their coverage a little bit better. I think that the way they bounce it back and forth between the drivers and the analysts is interesting. I love Jeff Burton. I I love Dale Jr. I think they have some interesting insights. I've become much more of a Steve Letarte fan as a commentator than I was as a crew chief. So I'm going to say NBC right now, even though it is only one race. To me, though, I love Mike Joy. I think he adds so much to the broadcast. I think he's such a pro. I think that if you put NBC and their team with Mike Joy doing the play-by-play, you have got a dream team. But if I have to pick one or the other, I'm going green flag NBC, even though it is a small sample size right now. And I got to say, Fox and their superhero-like cartoon graphic images of the drivers, I'm tired of it. I've seen enough. I want to see something different. I don't like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I got to go with green flag. And personally, I don't have any grudges or gripes against Fox. However, if you look at NBC, they probably showed some of the most informative, in-depth videos about how the car works and different aspects of the cars that I've never seen or failed to look at, that we've seen all year when Fox was broadcasting. Not to mention the most important thing, and I think the commentating is great, and I think that's also a highlight. I do like Mike Joy, like you said, Tom, but the most important thing is the amount of side-by-side that we saw where we could still watch the race during commercial breaks. We did not get any for Fox that I can remember, and I was so frustrated all year long during the Fox broadcast because they would go to commercial, and as soon as we'd come back, we would see a yellow flag, and we would have to watch replays. Instead, it's right there. It's tiny, but it's there, and we're able to see it live while we're listening to a stupid Liberty, Liberty, Liberty commercial. I love that. I feel like it's night and day. Granted, I've been watching NBC Sports for IndyCar since the IndyCar season started, which was around the same time of NASCAR. Well, actually a little bit later, but started 3 months ago. So I'm a little bit more used to it. I love it. I think that's the most important thing. I think just that really sets it apart for me. So that's why I'm going with green flag.
And I'll say I'm going green flag for one good reason. Fox's coverage is ass. It is truly horrible. I mean, for every race Fox has done this year, we have missed probably about 4 or 5 cautions per race where Fox just goes commercial and then immediately goes right back because he missed a caution. Side-by-side action, what the hell is that? It's horrible. Fox is horrible. Besides the commentating, which has been great for Fox, that's the one area they're good at. Everything else is pure garbage. NBC, they can get the coverage right. They can get the displays right. They can get the commentating is iffy. Steve Letarte, not a huge fan. Jeff Burton, Dale Earnhardt Jr., great commentators. And then get Mike Joy over to NBC. Tom, like you said, that would be a duo, a dream team. That's why I keep saying, get NBC to cover all the damn races because actually we can see what's going on the track. Fox just sucks. Green flag all the way. NBC, please take over the rest of the year. Please do. Please just keep doing what you're doing, NBC. You're doing fine. All right. Green flag, red flag, number 3 of the night. Last year's NASCAR race in Nashville was plagued by brake rotor failures for the drivers and traffic and parking problems for the fans. And truly a learning curve year for NASCAR. This was the second visit to Nashville from NASCAR. Did they get it right this time? Green flag for yes, red flag for no. Let's see. Zach, I think you're up, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm going to say they did. And I think it basically all has to come down to the bigger brake discs of the new next-gen car. yeah, I think it basically comes down to that. I think, yeah, they got it right. Obviously, we really didn't see any issues this time around, and I think it just has to do with the bigger brake discs with the next gen car.
Okay, Tom, what say you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm going to say green flag. I think it was a better show all the way around. I think the crew chiefs and the teams learned about the discs. It seemed like the fans were out in full force. Even in the heat of the Xfinity race, it seemed like there was a good crowd there, and they were enthusiastic, it seemed like. So I'm going to say that NASCAR got it right this time, that they learned from their mistakes, whether it be from NASCAR or from the teams themselves. I'm going to say green flag. They got it right.
And this is another one we're going to agree on. I got to go green flag. Besides Mother Nature trying to intervene and take NASCAR away from us that night, Nashville was a great race. I mean, besides the pure domination from Joe Gibbs for most of the night, throughout the middle and back of the pack, we saw, passes being made on the outside, the inside, the middle of the track. We saw 3-4 wide at one point. It's been an action-packed race, and that's what this new car was supposed to bring to us, but just it may not have really shown up front. And even then, kind of towards the later stages of the race, we saw guys getting close and trying to make passes, trying to pass on the inside, the outside, trying every sort of lane imaginable, giving drivers variety, and that's what makes great racing. Texas, take note. But yeah, I gotta agree. This was just a fantastic race. NASCAR has learned.
Okay. And Aaron, I want to go back to the Fox versus NBC.
Okay.
Aaron, tell us how you really feel. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't be so politically correct. Tell us how you really feel.
You basically did.
Yeah.
I mean, Fox has one thing, and that is the broadcast, and that is the non-broadcast, the commentary crew, and that's really it.
Yeah,
that's really truly it.
I have to agree with you on that.
But I will say, probably their best race was at Bristol Dirt, and all for the sole reason that they brought the three
legends,
the three legends back on center stage for one last hurrah. Oh. That was the best race Fox ever put on during their run, I think. All right. Last one of the night before we get to Road America preview. Green flag or red flag? Who had the more disappointing weekend? Truex Jr. or Kyle Busch? Tom, we'll start with you first.
I'm going to say Martin Truex Jr. I feel like Kyle Busch right now is he's returning to being the Kyle Busch that we saw for the last 10 years for the most part, where week in and week out, he is a threat to win. Okay. So let's say you're going to have 10 chances to win a race and run up front, and things didn't go your way in one of them, you still got 9 more. Okay. That's the level Kyle Busch is at right now. Okay. Martin Truex Jr. is not at that level right now. We have seen him be consistent. We have seen him show top 10 speed, but we haven't seen him up front leading laps. And when was the last time we saw Martin Truex go to the high side? He is the biggest bottom feeder since Tony Stewart. So if you're Martin Truex, you're going to have a chance to win maybe 3 or 4 races a year. And this was one of them, and it slipped away from you. I think that makes the sting greater than if you have a chance to win 10 races and one slips away. So I'm saying Martin Truex had a more disappointing weekend. I could argue the other way and say it was encouraging because he showed speed this weekend, and that gives him reason to be optimistic for the rest of the year. But I just feel like right now you don't get a chance to win that many if you're Martin Truex, and this one kind of slipped away. So I think his sting is greater. I'm going with Truex.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to go with Kyle Busch. Just awful. I felt like coming from the back, he was fast all day, and then he gets up in the top 5. And I truly thought that he was probably going to win this thing. And then obviously they made the wrong call on pit lane, if I remember correctly. And ultimately results in his terrible finish. I mean, he had probably one of the fastest cars all night. He probably should have won this and ultimately didn't. And that came really down in my opinion to a horrible pit strategy call. So I would definitely have to say it's Kyle Busch for sure.
Yeah. Both presenting great arguments, but I got to go with Kyle Busch. Just for the sole reason in that you saw your teammate who was having the same situation as you, a very uncertain future, and he gets re-signed and you haven't. He was just competitive as you all day. He could have had a car to win the race, but he still got a future with Joe Gibbs. Kyle Busch is still on rough waters right now. And so I got to go with Kyle Busch. I mean, even though he did show speed, even though he could win one races before the season's out, he's still uncertain about his future. And so I got to go, with that respect, I got to go with Busch at the most disappointing weekend.
I didn't think about that, but that is definitely something to think about.
And I still think he will find a spot somewhere else. I mean, Busch is too talented still in the point in his career to not be signed somewhere else. It just may not be with Joe Gibbs, but who knows? And that will be the end of Green Flag, Red Flag for this week. Thank you all so much for playing along. I love the segment because it really gets the fans involved. For Mike saying also green, Mike going red for Kyle Busch, Mark saying Kyle Busch, and Tanner, don't forget how screwed Bubba Wallace got it. Yeah, I thought he might have had a shot to at least be competitive, but I mean he was, but just didn't work out for him.
Awful luck. Yeah. Awful luck.
Just bad luck for him.
I mean, I don't know if you even call it luck at this point. It's just like banging your head against the wall.
Yeah.
It's just awful. But and this was probably a good chance for him to win too. I mean, like he was fast all weekend. So
anyway, we will move on to our picks for Road America, which may or may not be the last time we ever go to Road America.
God, I hope not.
I hope to God we come back here for the next for the foreseeable future. All right, who wants to go first?
I'll jump in here and go first.
All right.
Shocker. Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott at a road course. I know nobody would have ever thought Chase Elliott would win at a road course.
No,
I'm going with Chase Elliott. I'm a believer in momentum, that you get it figured out, you get some confidence, you feel good. So he is coming off a win, and he is going to Road America, and everybody knows how strong he is at road courses. I'm saying the confidence he's got from that win, combined with the fact that we're at a track that is right in his wheelhouse, he is going to jump in there and grab another win and get 2 in a row at Road America. As a dark horse, I'm going Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell is having a dream season, and he ran incredibly well last time we were at a road course at Sonoma. So I am going Michael McDowell as my dark horse.
Okay.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. All right, Zach, do you want to go next?
Yes. So I am going with shocker Austin Cindric as my pick for Road America. He was strong there last season. Did pretty well, especially as a fourth Penske car, and has some good history at the track. So I'm going to say that he pulls out his second win of the season there at Road America. And as far as my dark horse, I'm going to go Christopher Bell. He had a really good speed, especially late in a run at Road America last season, and he's not too shabby on road courses either. So I think if anything, he might get his first win this season on a road course at Road America.
Very, very interesting. Very good picks from the both of you. All right. So for my pick, let's see here. Let's just go with. I gotta go with. Let's just go with Ryan Blaney. He has been very good on the road courses here the last few weeks. 10.8 finish overall at road courses, and so hopefully this is the week that he will finally get it done and get a win. As for my dark horse pick, I will go with not Christopher Bell, but Chris Buescher. For his performance at Sonoma, I think he's finally got something figured out with these road courses. 13.2 average finish on the most recent road courses since February 2019. I got to go with the Bushman, Chris Buescher. I don't know why I said the Bushman, but you know what? Let's just roll with it. And Christopher Buescher.
Okay, so interestingly, Chris Buescher has been exceptionally good on short tracks, and I don't know if there is a correlation between short tracks and road courses, but he has been very good on short tracks, and I don't know if I can pull it up here while I am going through this stuff. But yeah, he's been very good at short tracks, and I thought about thinking of him over McDowell because he's been good at short tracks and he ran really well at Sonoma. But I think Buescher is a good pick. And I want to say our picks last week, and I will give Mike Hora credit, he did say Michael McDowell before I did. But just as a rewind, last year our picks were Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain, who finished 3, 4, and 5. So we didn't exactly have a bad week in our picks.
Honestly, our picks that was a remarkably good week for us.
Yeah. Hey, I'm glad that we have a year in review where we can look back what our picks were a year ago now that we're a year
that's
old.
Right. Yeah.
How about that?
Also, funny enough,
who we picked last year.
Yeah.
Tanner saying Chastain or Kyle Busch. Solid picks there. Solid picks.
I was about to say, I'm surprised that not one of us picked a Trackhouse car to win. And that's very interesting.
That's true. All right. I think we are up to our white flag, which is everyone gives one last parting comment. So what do you guys got as parting comments?
Skip me first. Hold on.
Please skip me.
Oh,
okay. All right, so I guess it is up to me to start with the parting comments. I want to start by saying that we are now on Facebook. So the Loose Lug Nuts has a Facebook page, which if I can pull it up here, I will try to put it up here in the link. So if you guys can go out and support us on Facebook, that would be awesome. We are also broadcasting live, not just on Facebook, but also on YouTube. So we're on 2 platforms right now, which I got to be honest, I'm not, as you can probably tell by the lack of hair and a little bit of gray, I am not a technological guru. So I was definitely a little bit in the dark as far as figuring out how we do this on both of these platforms. But yeah, we are on Facebook now, the Loose Lug Nuts. Check us out, follow us. I will post a link to our comment to our Facebook page there so that you guys can like us and everything. And please share and tell your friends. We want to try to grow this as much as we can.
Yes, please do. That helps us out much more than you know. But
so, go ahead.
Zach, go ahead. No, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. So Nashville for Bubba Wallace was pretty much a nightmare. It ended up okay, not where he wanted to be or where he honestly probably deserved to be, but 12th is not terrible. However, I want to highlight one stat for his team because there's been a lot of remarks about Bubba's reaction towards his team and his crew after having a loose wheel that ended up costing him his day. I don't necessarily condone the actions. I mean, it is what it is. But in 16 races, Bubba's pit crew has had a total of 7 loose wheels. No one has anywhere close to that number. And has honestly cost him pretty decent finishes. That's a crazy number. That's one every 2 races, at least. So if they keep that up, I don't see how he could get his first win unless it's by complete luck. But something needs to be done about that pit crew. There was a couple articles that came out that said it was a supply issue. JGR apparently supplies 2311's pit crews. Shocker, I know. And that Bubba's getting the end of the rope there. But honestly, you got to feel bad for the guy having 7 loose wheels and caused him good runs and potential wins. So that is my white flag comment for the night.
All right, and for my white flag, I just got to say, if I am RFK right now, I am hoping for just a sweet and merciful end to this season already, because although Chris Buescher has really kind of started, I guess, a resurgence of his career, he's looking like he has shown that he has talent behind the wheel, doing fairly well in 22nd in points, doing okay as far as the mid-pack team is concerned. But what the hell happened to Brad? I mean, as of right now, he has two top 10s and 2 DNFs. He hasn't made DNFs as he does top 10s. He's getting beat by Todd Gilliland. Todd freaking Gilliland. And he is in jeopardy of being beat by Corey LaJoie. So if I'm Brad, I'm already questioning this venture over to RFK, because this is so far not a good footing, not a good first year for this new endeavor.
Not wrong.
Did not realize that RFK was that bad.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Well, you got to look at this and see, is this a Keselowski issue or is this an RFK issue? I know we've seen RFK do poorly, especially the last couple of years, if not pretty much ever since Carl Edwards left. But, it doesn't seem like Chris Buescher is struggling as much. He has 2 more top 10s than Brad Keselowski and a top 5. So I don't know. But obviously the team as a whole is not doing well. And obviously that 200, didn't they get like a 100-point penalty, I think?
Yeah.
So they would be at 335, which would put him around Chris Buescher. So that's something to think about as well.
But even still, I mean...
Yeah.
Just jeez Louise, man.
Awful.
I mean, it may be a Brad issue because I see Buescher up there more often than Brad is.
Right.
I mean, even with the 100-point issue, it may just be being a dead horse at this point. But then again, we kind of knew that going in. Oh Lord! Oh, cool, they're back.
I thought you were purposely putting it up there for a second.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah, when you look at it, you got how many winners? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 winners. 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th in the regular season standings. That's with their wins. Then you got guys that don't even have their wins right above them. I mean, like Eric Jones. He would be in the playoffs if right now if those 4 drivers didn't win. That's Austin Cindric, Briscoe, Suarez, Hamlin. I mean, when you look at Hamlin, his 2 wins he only has one other top 5 besides his 2 wins this season. That's not good.
No.
I think it came this week, right? Didn't he finish in the top 5 this week at Nashville or no? Denny Hamlin, did he finish in the top 5 at Nashville or no?
Don't believe he did because he was the one that pitted with like 4 to go.
Sixth.
He was
okay.
sixth. Yeah.
So close, but no cigar. But yeah, that definitely struggling this season.
Yeah,
not a good look. I mean, with the likes of Eric Jones, even both RCR cars, it's shocking to me. You don't really see them running up front, especially early in the race. If not, most races this season, they're 13th and 14th in the championship right now.
Yeah, but when's the last time we've seen Tyler Reddick or Austin Dillon up front actually being competitive?
Exactly. So I don't know how they are that high up.
Fell off a roof. They fell off a cliff somewhere.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, even the bots.
Yes.
With their posts about naked women that I had to remove because it was completely inappropriate in a bot. But thank you for tuning in anyway, Mr. Bots. But most importantly, thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight to watch the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed Aaron's top 10 list. We will be back next week where either Zach or I will present our top 10 list. I think we had a good show. And remember, we are on YouTube and Facebook now. So please go out and like our page on Facebook and follow us there as well. Hope you guys have a great week. Enjoy the Road America race, and we will catch up with you all next Tuesday. Thanks a bunch, and that is a wrap, guys. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Be safe.
Have a good night.